Welcome to Socials with the Saints. Are you looking for hope and inspiration? Grab a cup of tea or your favorite beverage and spend some time with us as we meet role models throughout church history and discuss how they can help us in our daily pilgrimage of life.
Hello, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to Socials with the Saints. Our mission is to inspire you in your daily pilgrimage of life by introducing you to the communion of saints. I'm Angela Ciolana, Media Coordinator for Pilgrim Center of Hope, a Catholic ministry founded in 1993. Our mission is to provide Catholic events, experiences, and media, initiating a desire in people to encounter Jesus Christ in their daily journey of life. Now, Socials with the Saints are opportunities for us to learn from role models of faith and from one another for fellowship, prayer, and receiving spiritual tools. Today, we'll be shining a light on a doctor of the church and a very close friend of mine, Saint Alphonsus Liguori. We're recording this podcast as a resource for those of you who could not attend our in-person Social with the Saints gathering. You are most welcome to join us on the third Thursday of every month in San Antonio, Texas. Visit pilgrimcenterofhope.org for more information about our in-person Socials with the Saints gatherings. Have you ever heard of St. Alphonsus Liguori? Well, let's hear his story. He was born on September 27, 1696 at Naples, Italy. He died on the 1st of August, 1787, and August 1st is his feast day. He was canonized in 1839. He is the patron saint of confessors, theologians, and those who struggle with scrupulosity, as well as those who suffer from arthritis. Born to a noble family, his father a captain of the Royal Navy and his grandfather a counselor at the royal court, his full baptismal name was Alfonso Maria Antonio Giovanni Francesco Concino Damiano Michelangelo Gasparo de Liguori. Alfonso studied painting, music, and architecture in addition to canon and civil law. He surpassed the youngest prescribed age for a doctorate in canon law and civil law, achieving these honors at only 16 years old. For 2 years, he observed cases in courtrooms. Finally, at the age of 18, he was able to apply his studies, and his success was undeniable. Like others of his social status, he enrolled in the Confraternity of Our Lady of Mercy, and with them assisted at the local hospital for incurables, feeding them, washing them, and changing bed sheets. In 1723, Alfonso received the most important case of his life, dealing with about $500,000 in today's currency, between a local nobleman and a wealthy Tuscan landowner. He lost. Overwhelmed by a sense of injustice, he proceeded with his normal hospital visit and then stopped into a church named Our Lady of Ransom. There he felt a spiritual awakening. He left his sword at the altar and committed his life to God and to Mary, the Mother of Jesus. Alfonso left the practice of law and pursued the priesthood to his father's disappointment. He was ordained in 1726 and threw himself into the service of the poor. Making a private vow never to waste a moment of his life, he organized meetings on street corners, in homes and workshops, which moved into chapels and were called evening chapels. He also preached widely. After a while, he became exhausted. A doctor advised him to take time away. While on the Amalfi Coast, he encountered poor shepherds and peasants whose lives were so far removed from others that they'd had no formal spiritual care. He resolved to begin a congregation of priests dedicated to serving the most abandoned, poor, and forgotten persons. This he did in 1732 at Scala, naming it the Congregation of the Most Holy Redeemer, known as the Redemptorists, approved by Pope Benedict XIV in 1749. Gathering others who were inspired by this mission, Father Alfonso and company traveled throughout Italy. The congregation reached to Poland, Austria, and beyond, Today, about 4,500 Redemptorists serve in 82 countries alongside men and women who share their spirituality. Alphonsus' spiritual message focuses on three aspects: Jesus in his crib, Jesus on the cross, and Jesus in the Eucharist. To these he adds a deep devotion to Jesus' Blessed Mother. All of this he rooted in prayer. Having observed, he wrote, that so many passages of both the Old and New Testaments assert the absolute necessity of prayer, I have made it a rule to introduce into all our missions a sermon on prayer. And I say and repeat, and will keep on saying as long as I live, that our whole salvation depends on prayer. For if you pray, your salvation will be secure. An excerpt from his writings on prayer follows. Acquire the habit of speaking to God as if you were alone with God. Speak with familiarity and confidence as to your dearest and most loving friend. Speak of your life, your plans, your troubles, your joys, your fears. In return, God will speak to you, not that you will hear audible words in your ears, but words that you will clearly understand in your heart. These may be feelings of peace, hope, interior joy, or sorrow for sin, gentle knockings at the door of your heart. Lesser known yet founded before the Redemptorists are the female Redemptoristines, contemplative nuns founded by Marie Celeste Crostarosa in 1731 with Father Alphonsus Liguori as their spiritual director, modeled around meditation on the life and virtues of Christ. Their rule of life was given formal approval by the Vatican in 1750. Alphonsus' gifts as a communicator are found in 111 written works, including The Way of the Cross, often used in parishes, which includes the popular Act of Contrition, and books like How to Converse with God and The Glories of Mary, as well as in musical compositions and paintings. Alphonsus composed important works of moral theology, including his formal Theologia Moralis. To this day, he is considered the greatest moral theologian in the Church's history, called the moral doctor of the Church, and is upheld as the patron saint of confessors. Despite this, throughout his lifetime, he suffered terribly from scrupulosity, which is now considered a religious expression of obsessive-compulsive disorder. Thus, when advising confessors to treat penitents with compassion, he spoke from his own heart. The Redemptorists continue his work through a ministry called Scrupulous Anonymous. Alphonsus showed support for approval of the liturgical feast of the Sacred Heart by sending an essay and a copy of his novena to the Sacred Heart to the Pope. Zealously, he promoted devotion to Jesus' heart in the Blessed Sacrament. His act of spiritual communion prayer is often used to this day. In his book, Visits to the Blessed Sacrament, he wrote, "You must also be aware that in a quarter of an hour's prayer spent in the presence of the Blessed Sacrament, you will perhaps gain more than in all the other spiritual exercises of the day." On his desk, he kept an image of Our Lady of Good Counsel based on an Albanian icon. A similar image is beloved by contemporary Redemptorists. He encouraged daily prayer of the Rosary and visits to Marian shrines. The motto for the Redemptorists connects to his spiritual awakening at the shrine of Our Lady of Ransom. With God, there is plentiful redemption. He wrote, "Mary has loved us more than any other created being loves us, since she has given for us her only Son, whom she loved more than herself. And from this follows, we are so much beloved by Mary, because she knows that we have been purchased by the death of Jesus Christ." In 1762, he was appointed Bishop of Santa Agata dei Goti. There, He accomplished several reforms of the clergy and promoted preaching to people in simple language. In the late 1770s, he worked vigorously to defend the Redemptorists against political accusations. Arthritis had become a painful constant in his life, causing a deformity of his upper chest and back. This is why he is often pictured with his chin touching his chest. Eventually, Bishop de Liguori was confined to a wheelchair and retired from active ministry. His sight and hearing also suffered, of which some maliciously took advantage. As a result, the Pope removed him from Redemptorist leadership. As he neared the end of his life, attacks of his scrupulosity troubled him. His brother Redemptorists would console him by praying with him a Marian litany and by reading to him from his own writings, perhaps including this quote, "If in the hour of death we have Mary on our side, what fear can we have of all the powers of hell?" Early on July 31st, 1787, he whispered, "Give me my lady." A picture of Mary was given to him. The next day at noon, he passed away. Pope John Paul II said, "St. Alphonsus is a gigantic figure not only in the history of the Church, but for the whole of humanity as well. He did for modern Catholicism what St. Augustine accomplished in ancient times." Pope Francis wrote that St. Alphonsus Liguori is a model for the whole Church. Here is one of his many written prayers, a prayer written by St. Alphonsus Liguori. "Jesus, my Savior, help me. I am resolved truly to love you and to leave all to please you. Help me to free myself from everything that hinders me from belonging wholly to you, who have loved me so much. By your prayers, O Mother Mary, which are so powerful with God, obtain for me this grace to belong wholly to God. Amen." Wow, what a story. I'd like to give you a few questions to ponder now that you've heard about St. Alphonsus Liguori. First of all, what struck you about what you just heard? What stood out to you in the story? And what stood out to you about the person of St. Alphonsus? How does the life of this role model of faith teach and challenge you in your spiritual life? What lesson will you take with you into your daily life from the story of St. Alphonsus? Please, we invite you to leave a comment on the YouTube post that corresponds to this episode or the podcast app that you listen to this episode on. Let us know. You can also send us an email. pilgrimcenterofhope.org is where you can contact us. Or if you want to email us directly, ministry@pilgrimcenterofhope.org. We look forward to hearing what you took away from the story of St. Alphonsus Liguori. You can download a printable pamphlet with this story, as well as a saint card with an image of St. Alphonsus and a quote that corresponds to St. Alphonsus himself on our website, pilgrimcenterofhope.org. The link will be included in the podcast description for this month. And by the way, that quote by St. Alphonsus is something that I keep on my phone so that I can keep his wisdom with me. That quote is, "The past is no longer yours. The future is not yet in your power. You have only the present wherein to do good." So you can get that quote card as well as a wonderful wallpaper for your phone on our website, pilgrimcenterofhope.org, and navigate to our events or our media for Socials with the Saints. A big thank you to our sponsor, Velma Burnett, for making this podcast episode possible, and thank you for joining us on Socials with the Saints. We invite you to come visit Pilgrim Center of Hope and learn more about our threefold ministry of events, experiences, and media outreach. Visit pilgrimcenterofhope.org. That's pilgrimcenterofhope.org, or call us 210-521-3377. That's 210-521-3377. Please make sure to stay up to date with details about our wonderful events. And you can do so also by liking our Pilgrim Center of Hope Facebook page, follow us on Instagram, or subscribe to our email list on our website. Until next time, remember, we are a pilgrim people, and on your journey, you are never alone in the communion of saints. May God bless you.